All right, welcome in. It is time for another SoCal Saturday. His name is Barry. My name's Louie, hanging out with you for the next 11 race analysis here ahead of the entire card there at Santa Anita tomorrow, of course. Big Cap Day on Saturday, which means, of course, the San Felipe as well. Barry and I will also talk a little bit about the Gotham, a little bit about the Fountain of Youth. All of those available, by the way, on the AmWager app, available in California. Check these out, man. Beautiful hats with the old school logo on these as well. Go check them out right now. Horse players designed for horse players. It's that kind of platform. Go check them out. Speed, power, all of the great predictive odds, true odds, whatever you're looking for with your next ADW. Go check them out with our friends at AmWager, placing those win bets, placing a pick six, whatever, and everything in between. They've got you covered over there. 100% deposit match right now, up to $150 live in California. Go check out our friends at AmWager, amwager.com. Barry, how are you, friend? Happy Friday. Getting ready for big day tomorrow. We love this card.
Oh man, yeah, this card is excellent. I can't wait to quote unquote get my hands on it.
Digital hands on this card. That's exactly right. If you are new to this show, we're here every Saturday morning, usually tape this on Friday, give people a little bit of time to watch this. You can always find my article previewing the big race of the day. Happens to be the San Felipe for tomorrow's edition of the Sporting Tribune, thesportingtribune.com. Go check that out as well. Want to thank our friends at AmWager for presenting that article every week. As well, again, you need an edge. You need AmWager, 100% deposit bonus up to $150. Let's get into it, Bear. Race one. And we're dealing with an optional claimer here. We're on the turf course at a mile. Last week, Barry, very different card than what we're going to see today. Tons of state bred races last week. You and I gave out some nice winners. You had a $20 winner last week as well. Going to be a bit of a different day here. We start with an optional claimer, a bit of a starter allowance, if you will. We're going a mile on the turf. This is for 40-year-olds that have started for $50,000 or less here, Barry. They can be in for the tag if they want to, of course, there too. Non-two lifers. You went long shot right away, and I love it. Go for it.
Yeah, I thought the 7 looks rare, has a big pace advantage here. I think this horse is quicker than everybody else, and the 9 drawing outside definitely helps his chances. Not really much in here as far as speed, so I think Jose Ortiz is going to have this horse just where he pleases. It's just a matter of if he can finish it off. This horse was on the layoff from June 23 up until September this year. Didn't run all that great in that spot, but I tell you, if this horse gets the lead, watch out, and it looks like all signs are pointing that is the goal.
It's interesting. Doug O'Neill's keeping this one on the turf here, right? And that's a very intentional thing. This horse could run later in the card, even on the same day, in a dirt, say 6.5 kind of furlong race. Going to try the turf again for the second time. Tried it at Del Mar last out, getting a little bit of time off here. A great angle for Doug O'Neill, by the way, at 14%. This kind of layoff, and like you said, Jose Ortiz in town to ride. You don't fly out to LA to not win races, right? So he's going to be looking to try to do exactly that. I landed somewhere else on my top shot, just to the outside there. With Over the Ocean, Umberto Rispoli gets the mount here. Talk about him quite a bit on this card. In fact, he'll be aboard journalism in the Derby Prep, the San Felipe later in the card. This one broke its maiden last time at the maiden 50 level, but I love the time in 1:37.1. Once in a while, Barry, you know how this is. You watch a horse break its maiden and the light just goes on, right? They just figure it out. I love a horse coming out of a maiden win. I don't love the 7-2 price, frankly, in this kind of field and having a break from the outside, but did really good running on the front end last night. And I think this horse will try to go a little bit early, therefore mitigating a bit of that 1 mile thing and that outside post as well. Who'd you lay it on second here?
The 5 horse, Navajo Warrior. I like that race. His first turf effort was really, really good last time and can only improve on that. And actually that horse might vie for the top spot here. This is a really tough race, to be honest with you, between those 3 horses alone, and that's not even including the closers on the rail.
Yeah, the 3 and the 4 here were both interesting to me. Spearfish, I have second in my handicapping for Tyler Bays. This one last out, tried the mile in an 8th, and frankly was very game throughout, just never quite got there behind El Rey and Navajo Warrior, who will be in this field in Navajo Warrior. But 2 back, going the mile, won the race from out of the clouds. I'm hoping with Tyler that this horse will keep it a little bit closer than he has in the past, break a little bit better. But, back in that Hess barn, 24% with Tyler Bays, limited sample size, but one that I think is worth taking a shot on. And then Big George is mostly in my handicapping because of Flavien Prat. I'm not going to lie to anybody about this stuff, but he's teaming up with Pat Gallagher here out of the Gallagher barn. This one has not been great. One win, last 11 races, but usually it's the addition of a jockey like a Flavien Prat that pushes a horse forward. He's Barry Spears. I'm Louie Rabeau. This is AmWager's presentation of Southern California Racing. SoCal Saturdays is what we call them around here. Go check out our friends at AmWager, amwager.com. Race 2 is another optional claimer, a $100,000 optional claimer for non-2 lifers going 6 furlongs on the dirt there at Santa Anita. By the way, I see an ad at the top here, Barry, on our past performances for Thoroughbred Los Angeles. And if you are out in LA, get all of the information you possibly can. Certainly, we want you to show up every week and hang out with us, but our friends John Lindo and the guys over at Thoroughbred LA do as good a job as anyone over there at KLAA as well. Another one here, Barry, I'll start. I've got a long shot on top here, so I'll go first. In the air tonight is the 4-horse. Thiago Pereira is going to get the mount here. This horse has been in state bred stakes the last 3 times out. And before that, open company grade 2 in the Oak Leaf. We're going to the dirt here. This one was on the turf last time, completely up the track. This one ran in the Soviet problems, and we ran about that. We talked about that stakes last time, one of my favorite names for a stakes around. This horse gets Lasix for the first time, and it's throwing the blinkers on. I think they have a very clear idea of what they want to do here, which is get this one out of the gate a lot faster than they have in the past. I think there's going to be a ton of speed up front. I think it's going to set up for a horse like In the Air tonight, who, by the way, I think we're going to get every bit of 8-1. I think there's a chance we even get 10-1 on this horse. So I love that. Throw the blinkers on. Give me first time Lasix here. I'll take In the Air tonight, the 4, as my upset pick in race 2.
Oh, wow. Shocking. But that horse, I have a problem with that horse in general, only because I don't know what that horse likes to do.
I agree. That's why
it's just a hard read, but the horse is definitely in the mix. I mean, you can clearly see that this horse has the ability to be with this kind of group, and it wouldn't surprise me, especially with the makeover package, if this horse runs a markedly improved race. But that being said, I actually
first time Lasix horse here in this.
I did. I went with the other makeover package horse, the 5 AZ Wildcat. I find it very interesting that Pratt gives this horse another chance after, kind of a green effort on January 5th. The horse has had a few workouts since. Hopefully they have their act together with the blinkers and the Lasix. This horse is clearly talented. His first run back in June was very, very good. I expect to see that kind of effort with the changes. Actually, In the Air tonight was my second choice. So we might hit the exacta here.
That wouldn't be the end of the world. No bad beats. Of course, the 3-horse will be the favorite, almost certainly at post time as well. Winner last out in a maiden optional doing this course at 6.5 furlongs. We'll try the slightly shorter distance here at 6 furlongs under Juan Hernandez. Should catch a bunch of money. I think that's part of the reason I went with the 4 here is we get a horse, in no bad beats, that has never gone back to back in a substantive way. Let's try to get a price here. It is essentially, I think, what you and I were both thinking in that one as well. We move on to race 3. It's the first stakes of the day. The grade 2 Buena Vista will be on the turf course here at a mile at Santa Anita for this one. And Barry, I thought, a shorter field for sure. Was it 6 in here? 7 in here, excuse me.
7.
But man, I thought there were 3 or 4 legitimate contenders in here.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of these horses, I mean, honestly, any of them except for maybe Big Hug, but everybody else really has a shot. And even Big Hug, you could see versions of this race where things kind of break down and, that horse ends up on the lead. You never know. But I think that's highly unlikely.
Yeah, but Big Hug's a horse. 9 runs last year, hit the board, and all of them won 6 of them. No, that's a horse. At least
might be around it for sure. He's going to be
exactly
around.
Right. That's an exacta horse. If that one hits, goodness gracious, can really help out in a 7-horse field, especially.
And there's holes in the favorite. Alpha Bella just doesn't like to win often.
Yes, correct.
And I love to bet against horses like this because horses have habits, and you can clearly see it in the past performances. It's almost like she wins by accident when she does win. So my money would go to number 5, Rashimi. I think that this race sets up again to be kind of a perfect trip situation like she got last time. And, Alpha Bella is just going to set the table for her And honestly, I think they finished 1-2.
Yeah, Rashmi, excuse me, is 4 for 6 lifetime at Santa Anita on the turf course there. Did win the megahertz last out at the mile distance. Coming into this one, could not agree with you more. I have that one on top. Umberto Rispoli, especially on the turf at Santa Anita, is someone that I very much trust. And Jonathan Thomas, interesting how much he is starting to race out west as well. On top of the other racing that he's doing, of course, around the country. But this one won the megahertz in the grade 3 last time out. And that to me, it was a good performance, but it wasn't exceptional for this horse. I think he can run it back, or she can run it back, excuse me, in this case. And so I do expect her to be right there. I think the one Interior with Jose Ortiz here is interesting as well. The other Jonathan Thomas, if you will, in this spot, 1-2 back in an allowance at this place, in a minute 34 and 3, and that's the kind of speed you're going to have to win over the mile course there at Santa Anita. I like that this is a daughter of Mitoli, because I think, Mary, you and I, one of the themes that's come up on this show is with these 1 mile turf races at Santa Anita, you want a horse that's got speed, right? So many, you've talked about it. So many of those 6.5 down the hill horses turn into these miler horses at Santa Anita. And I think that Tirapati fits this one, already having won twice at the distance, over 4 runs. I think just absolutely sets up in a great way here. And then I do think I'm trying to beat the 6. I'm not even including Alpha Bella in any ticket that I'm going to put together on Saturday. I just don't trust that horse, especially if I got to get 2-1 on it. I mean, no chance that I'm running with that horse in this case. So I went 5-1-3 here. Who'd you end up in second spot here?
Yeah, I thought Alpha Bella is probably the horse that will finish second.
Okay.
She's very good. She just doesn't win a lot. She runs her race a lot. Consistently, just doesn't win. And I think that's in of itself the idea is that she's going to run a race, and usually that means her running second.
Yeah. 3 for 19 lifetime is the favorite in the grade 2 Buena Vista. I just don't see it. I mean, if she wins, good for her. And it wouldn't be stunning. I want to be very clear, but good for her if she's able to win. On Saturday, we move to race 4, a maiden special, 2 in a row here. This one is for California bred or sired maidens, 3 years old in this case. So we do see a state bred race here. Barry, but race 4, I went really skinny here. I went 4 and 6, the 2 favorites here. I don't mean to be that guy, but in this case, Edwin Maldonado won this race last time out. It was disqualified. So that horse gets to run right back against maidens again. And then in 6, we get Antonio Fresu with a horse that, man, how many times do we see this, Barry? The horse breaks from the gate and it kind of does the look around.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in a
Hey,
race.
there's other horses
Oh,
here.
I got to go
What?
keep up with them. And then all of a sudden, you see that horse take off. And this was one of those. He was 10 lengths back with about a half mile to go in his initial race and went ahead and finished within 6 lengths. Figured it out essentially on the far turn there at Santa Anita last out beginning of February. We get a month between races here. Has been working really well on the dirt there at Santa Anita Park as well, including some of those extended gate works that you talked about. So I went 4-6, and I think you just kind of move on with your ticket from there.
Really? Interesting. Interesting. Because I don't have a negative outlook of Roman Gratis, but I found it odd that they're putting the blinkers on after the win.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Not saying that that's a knock or anything. I just found that a little interesting. You don't see that often, and you see the steady stream of bullets. Almost seems too good to be true. And I did some digging, and I came up with a horse that I would like to play in this spot, and it's number 3, Beer Buzz.
Nice.
This horse has a full brother, I believe, that isn't too bad, but the whole pedigree is very, very speedy.
Yep.
And in particular, I like the January 17th work and the February 23rd work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some
That's both
precociousness there.
at San Luis Rey there. Yeah. Yep.
Yes, which I believe tends to be a little bit deeper.
Oh, it translates well to Santa Anita for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt about
So
it.
with that being said, there's really not much else in here. I mean, you really can't go for any of the horses that have more than 3 starts.
Yeah. Right.
They don't look like they have a shot, including the 2 who might get some action. But
Yeah, sure.
I would cold deck this 3-4. I think the 4 is very
Right.
formidable in this spot. Wouldn't surprise me if he beats Beer Buzz, obviously, but I'm going to try to get that horse upset here.
We are presented by our friends at Amwager. This is SoCal Saturday with our friends at the Sporting Tribune. As well, get that Amwager Edge 100% deposit match right now up to $150 at amwager.com. Get in right now with them and bet all of the great Derby preps around the country this weekend. Closing out the early pick 5 is another maiden special weight. This one on the Philly side of things. This is for fillies and mares that are 4 and 5 years old, carrying 124 pounds here, going 6 furlongs. That flat turf course there. Barry, we get a second time starter in Quick Brown Fox, but we haven't seen her since April. Other than that, kind of a mixed bag of a field. An interesting first time starter, I thought, for Tim Yaktine in the 7-hole there for Antonio Fresu. Where did you learn in this one in race 5 at Santa Anita?
Yeah, this race is really, really interesting. Because I really don't have too much interest in Quick Brown Fox, funny enough.
Okay.
But I think Nafisa is the goods in this spot. Her body of work is pretty good, and including her turf race. And I think getting to the flat turf is excellent for this horse. I know her buyer wasn't all that great the last time, but she really raced like a racehorse last time. Bob has the fastest horses on the grounds, and this is no exception. Him putting this horse in this spot really exudes a lot of confidence, because he doesn't really do this sort of thing, and especially with turf horses. I just think that this horse will go favored and be favored. I'm not sure what to do with Quick Brown Fox, so I threw that horse out pretty much.
I went 2-5, and I'm using Quick Brown Fox. And here's why. I actually really like the works recently. I think this is a horse that they think is going to step back in here. Richard Mandela is good off of layoffs, moving from dirt to turf, etc. The only bad angle for him here is a maiden second start. I don't know. You're leaning on Bob Baffert. He's won for his last 12 turf sprints, right? I mean, but I think this is a maiden race, and that's part of the the puzzle of a maiden race. And so I went 2-5 here. You and I both have the 5 on top here.
Not to mention they paid 1.8 million for that horse. I mean that's a little bit of a factor. But I thought the 9 really stood a good chance here to kind of pick up some pieces. Went long last time. The cutback makes a lot of sense. The horse did improve going long, so maybe this horse got a little bit of that little bit of time off from November to January did this horse a little bit of good. The workouts seem right on par. I think this horse is going to give a good effort, and the outside horse Glamora has some experience. I like the close in the May race, and it's possible that horse picks up some pieces too.
I think a really playable early pick 5 here, Barry. As far as bankroll, that kind of thing, etc. Is there a horse you would key in these first 5 races that stands out as someone that you would really lean on? Or is there a race that you would definitely spread in? Is it the opening race that we would spread in the most here?
Yeah, I think the first race is really particularly tough. Race 2 is a little straightforward. You could probably go skinny there.
Okay.
And then, this last race with the $1.8 million monster. Or not a monster yet.
The new
monster in the making.
Right. The new Miramani. That's right. Yeah. Amwager and amwager.com. Get in with our friends over there with the true odds, the predictive wagering as well. All the great options over there. The platform made by horse players for horse players. Amwager.com. Race 6 is an optional claimer. We're back on the dirt here, and we are sprinting. We're going 6 furlongs, and this is for 4 and up, which is never won 21,000, blah, 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 blah. And it gets very long in the description list here. Barry, I'll go first for race 6. 1, 6, and 10 is where I landed. Shady Tiger, a son of Smiling Tiger, a Calbred out there. 4, Phil D'Amato comes in here. 3 straight runs at the stakes level, certainly the California level. Didn't work out last time in that Del Mar race in the Real Deal. But I'm trying to go back and find some solace in that win in the Echo Eddie, which was at Santa Anita over this distance, over the dirt as well. So I'm hoping that we get that Echo Eddie work, and that bullet work last time out was not a fluke there on a day when no one else went sub 59. This horse went 58 and 4 in his workout there. So I'm going to lean on Shady Tiger in the top spot. I love that 4-1 price, Barry. I love it. I hope that is absolutely true at post time as well. I went to the 6 next for Tessuto. So 5-1 here. Umberto Rispoli gets the mount here. This one, a tough loser to Positivity last time, who is in this race as well. But I thought really fast race, did a lot of things really right, just didn't get there in time. Last time out. And then I'm going to try the Pratt mount here, the 10 at 8-1 from Mike McCarthy. This is a horse coming out of Gulfstream Park, hasn't run in almost a year and a half. Last time seen was October of 23. This is not Mike McCarthy's super strong case of getting horses off a claim or those kinds of things. But this one's been in his barn, has been working out. He knows this horse. This is obviously a spot that they picked, 19% first-time Lasix. And when horses come in off of significant layoffs with him, he still wins at 19%. So I think that horse, you get Pratt, if you catch a flyer there, first-time Lasix, etc., maybe this is the kind of horse that you can get a longer price on, Barry. But I love the 4-1 on the one horse here.
Yeah, this seems like a kind of race you could take a shot with somebody like that, because I'm not really too enamored with Shady Tiger, and that horse should be vying for favoritism with probably the 7.
Yeah.
Although I think the 7 would probably be the ultimate favorite. It's kind of tough. I mean, the horse hasn't been out for a while. And his races were good, but is he going to come back like that?
Right.
And that's really the big question with both the 7 and the 1. I like the horses that have been running. And in fact, the 6 kind of stands out to me in that regard, especially the way the race shapes up. Should be a lot of speed in here, and this horse can fall into almost an almost perfect trip like he got last time, which got that inflated buyer. So I think that's going to hurt our price, but I still think Tessuto is very strong in the spot.
Yeah, I agree. Tessuto fits the spot very well. It is a balanced runner, like you said, could be part of that early speed, get good positioning, and then kick late like he did last time. Was in third position, ended up second by a head. Under Frankie Dettori, gets Umberto Rispoli here on the mount there. I do think on the outside, Momad is an interesting horse here for John Sheriffs. Gets Hector Barrios. Last time out was up the track in December. They gave this horse a little bit of time. Look at that most recent work, Barry. This horse is ready to go, ready to fire. My hope is that horse is going to be ready straight out of the gate as well. A sub 47 4 furlong work the other day. And so if that horse can show up, if that speed shows up, couple extra steps on the rest of the crowd, maybe that's one that can get back to that 87 buyer we saw on debut at Del Mar back in September. Race 7 starts the late. I'm so excited. The late pick 5. No, this is legitimately a great part of the card. Buckle up, because there's a bunch of great stuff going on here. A 6 furlong turf sprint here. Optional claimer for fillies, non-2 lifers, fillies and mares 4 and up, which have never won 21,000, etc. Barry, where did you land in this one, man? I thought this was a fun race.
Yeah, this is a really fun race, especially when I zero in a horse that's probably going to be a nice price. And that's number 6, Ang and Ash. This horse has changed hands quite a bit.
Yeah.
But if you look at the horse's races on the flat 6 furlong, way better than down the hill.
Yep.
And I think that's going to go a long way. The last time, I don't think this horse meant to be as far back as she was. I think they kind of got compromised a little bit early and were hung out a little bit wide, and it was down the hill. It's a different, totally different race.
Really
and I think on the flat, this horse is going to be a lot closer and get better positioning. Has races in the past that can win this race at this level. This horse fits so good. And 12-1, I thought it was almost a no-brainer that this is where we're pushing in on it.
Yeah, you and I are on totally different horses here, which I think, by the way, I don't disagree with anything you just said, which is a pretty wide open start to this late pick 5 here. I landed on Thermal, the 3 horse here, a bit of a layoff here for John Sadler, who hits at 23% off these kinds of layoffs. He and Antonio Fresu, only 2 for their last 12 together at Santa Anita. But this one last time out in an optional claimer over the turf was very good, I thought, at Del Mar. A little bit of a freshening here. That was only over 5 furlongs. I think the added furlong will be very helpful. We saw this horse go gate to wire in a maiden special before that at Santa Anita. So we get back at least to this course where this horse has had success before. That at work the other day, I think I'm going to settle on Thermal as well. 3 and then 4. I thought Not a Sinner. If you can really get Flavian Pratt at higher than 5-1 at Santa Anita, you should definitely do that as well. This horse is really interesting. 1 for 9 lifetime at Santa Anita. One time, of course, in the maiden win, 3 back. Seemed to put it together in that race, and then they try the horse against Open Company first out. Didn't work. A little time off. This is actually second in the form cycle, and oddly enough, not a good not a good angle for Simon Callahan, but still, for me, I think a playable horse here, especially at 8-1. I'll go 3-4-2 in race 7.
Yeah, I thought the 5, Andiamo Ragazza has a shot here. I know the form is a little bit muddied up because this horse was running longer and then down the hill a few times, even with a dirt try in there. But that 5 furlong race on August 15th is not that bad and stacks up pretty well against everybody else in here. And I think this one might be flying under the radar. I know they have this horse at 5-1, but I think that's going to drift up a bit.
All right. Race 8 starts the late pick 4. And I have a $1 pick 4 at thesportingtribune.com right now because I think there's a single in this sequence. And so if you are going to play the pick 4, you may as well play it for $1. And so the San Felipe is the Derby prep on the card there. Grade 2, mile and a 16th. And Barry, 6 horses here, but I wrote about this at the Sporting Tribune. This is as talented a 6-horse field of 3-year-olds this early in the season that I can remember. This is exactly why we get excited about this time of year is horses like Journalism coming back out of a Los Al Futurity win where he looked great. A horse like Barnes that we've seen every bit of flashes and everything else, and he's a $3.2 million purchase, and he's trying 2 turns for the first time. And then you get Rodriguez, who we've already seen finish second to a Citizen Bull, but won his second try going 2 turns, has already gone 2 turns twice. I think all 3 of those horses, if they win, Barry, would be not surprising at all. I think a very cool Derby prep here, and frankly, 3 really talented young colts here.
Yeah, yes, very much so. You know, it's kind of a little scary to think that they're this good this early. I mean, if you think about it, it could be a negative going forward, depending on what happens. But I mean, you're absolutely correct. I mean, this is a loaded field. You know, 4 of these runners, you know, any one of them can win depending on how the race shapes up. But to me, Barnes kind of stands out. I mean, this horse is shipped and has the experience and beat the better horses. This race has Barnes written all over it.
This is also the rare case where I would side with the Juan Hernandez mount over the Flavian Pratt mount.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I need to write this down because this is monumental.
Louie makes fun of Brad Cox next. No, it's the rare case where I would definitely side on that side, and where I would side, frankly, with the Zidane side of things rather than the Starlight. I think the Starlight folks do as well as anyone picking horses to be on the Derby trail, putting them in the barn, in the Baffert barn, etc. I think Barnes is the real deal. And I think, Barry, there's a legitimate chance that he and you and I, by the way, landed on the exact same 3 horses here in the exact same order with Barnes, Journalism, and Rodriguez. You and I never do that.
No.
So for that to happen, I think there's a chance that this is not a Nisos type performance from last year, but I think similar. Like if Barnes wins this race by like 4 or 5 lengths, I won't be surprised at all.
You can tell this horse is ready to explode. So, you know, they paid the pretty penny for this horse, and now they're just going to be like, open him up.
Yeah,
you know, let's see what he's got. And this is the perfect time to kind of show that off, going 2 turns for the first time. I know the others have gone 2 turns, but it doesn't look like that'll be an issue.
Yeah, I wrote about the other horses in this field, like I said, at thesportingtribune.com. Mellencamp's in here, I think, largely so that, you know, they make sure the race gets the full amount of points for the Kentucky Derby Trail. Smooth Cruisin's an interesting horse in here. Actually, this is a son of Gervin. And Gervin, of course, won 2 grade 1s and a grade 1 and 2 grade 2s as a 3-year-old, of course, including that the Haskell. And, you know, his progeny have not lived up to what his 3-year-old level was, period. They just haven't. But look, this is he ran 4th behind Barnes in that San Vicente. He's going to try 2 turns for the first time here. Man, if Karen Headley, by the way, if you can name her last graded stakes win, I'll give you my house, Barry. It was the 2016 Los Alamitos Los Angeles Stakes, a grade
Wow.
3 in 2016. So I'm rooting for her. I just don't see it
Hell
in
yeah.
this case. But Steve Knapp's also got Berlin Wall on the outside. And look, he's by Practical Joke and Into Mischief Mare. If you wanted a horse that's going to go 2 turns and try to get that distance, it's going to be him. But man, I think he's the first toss in this spot as well. Of
Yeah.
the 1, 5, and 6, who's the most likely winner to you? I would actually go 5 with Smooth Cruising above
Yeah.
the other. I think that
Yeah.
horse, if there's a major upset, it's going to be the 5.
Yeah, I'm with you. All that really has to do is that horse has to get out of the gate. He probably can run, just doesn't have much luck getting out of the gate, and that's terrible. But maybe the going 2 turns will kind of remedy that issue, or make it less of an impact.
Yeah. It should be a fun one that way. So there you go. There's your Derby prep out at Santa Anita. Let's keep going on that card. Race 9 is the Kilroe Mile. It is a grade 1, of course, a mile on the turf course there. $300,000 in the kitty for and up for this one as well. Meet Hermano Ramon. A disappointing run in that turf invitational at the Pegasus, except that he still finished 4th and got a $40,000 check for it. So it's not the end of the world. But back to the West Coast, where he's done most of his best running, 5 times hitting the board in 6 tries at Santa Anita, including 1 for 2 at the distance here. I think he's a pretty big favorite here, Barry, the 1. And so I'm not saying that this is a built-in single for sure, but boy, this feels like a race there. If you're going to try to get skinny, it might be the Kilroe Mile.
I I actually think the 3 stands a better chance.
Okay.
He's gonna control the pace,
That's
and
true.
that's what you need. Mi Hermano Ramon obviously can close with the best of them, but I don't know if this horse is going to have the opportunity to see that kick, because I really don't see much speed in here. And El Potente is faster than Air Force Red.
Right.
I just don't see how this race is any advantage to me or Mono Ramon unless there's a speed duel. And I don't see that happening. I think both of these horses are just going to kind of walk out of the gate and see what's up. And El Potente is just going to control the whole thing. I just don't see this horse losing.
I like Neat in this spot to hit the board and to be part of either an exacta or a trifecta here. Ran in that Bryant Station last time at Keeneland, was a little bit up the track under Junior Alvarado. Jose Ortiz in town to ride here. We saw this horse win the Manila and win the Hall of Fame at Aqueduct and then at Saratoga. If this horse can get back to that form, Barry, I think it's got a shot here. It's going to have to be a lot faster than it's been, though, because the final time of this race is going to be sub 135. And this horse, I don't think has ever run personally a race faster than 136 and change. And so it's going to be one where he's going to have to figure it out. Maybe the Kentucky Downs mile was a little bit faster, but I am not in the business of comparing Kentucky Downs times with other courses. And so we're not doing that. So I think for me, Barry, I would use the 1, I would use the 3 here in my late pick 5, and I would move on.
Yeah, with Neat, this horse definitely has some talent in there, but I think a lot of it's about positioning,
Sure.
especially against better horses. I'm not sure if that horse can actually is fast enough to keep pace
Hmm.
with the others, and doesn't really want to try it. So it's going to be a real precarious position where Jose Ortiz puts this horse in
Yep.
order to gain position to try to win this race, because of the fact that this horse really isn't as fast as El Potente or anybody else. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does as a rider to try to maneuver himself in a position to win this race. One that I did think that might have a shot at a big price is the 7. Has a few races during the last summer, that this horse could dial up and kind of get in the picture.
You mentioned that, and I think with Juan Hernandez especially, that horse is going to be at least trying to be part of the speed equation of that, right? I mean, for sure. And so that's the part where I think you can, as you're trying to fill out that exacta, this horse is 5 for 17 lifetime at Santa Anita, hit the board 9 times in 17 runs, over half. So yes, I'm with you, brother, that this is it. I just think that mile distance isn't what this horse does best. I
No,
think,
not really.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
But at Santa
not
Anita,
for
if
the
you
win.
you can hang, right? I mean, that's what it is. So yeah.
Well, it didn't run that bad behind Johannes. So That has to
Everybody
count
loves
for something.
everybody but like 2 horses in the world runs behind Johannes at a mile. I mean, it
Right.
just is what it is, right? Yeah, for sure. Well, the late double will start with the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap, the Big Cap. We call this Big Cap Day out at Santa Anita. Happy Big Cap to all our friends out in Southern California. A reminder that you can bet on Amwager and Amwager.com right now in Southern California. A 100% deposit match up to $150, totally live. Even got the old license plates ready to go for you there. Amwager.com. Go in with our friends there. I thought, Barry, this continues a great trend in our sport, which is last couple of years, let's say a half decade, let's say 5 years,
Fine.
we've sat around and said, I'm a little tired of all the best 3-year-olds running off to the breeding shed. And then this year, we get a bunch of those horses back. We've already seen the Derby winner run this year. We get Mindframe tomorrow on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. We've already seen Hit Show win a race this year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're getting the return of so many of these horses. And this field, Barry, speaks to, I think, we're just going to have so much fun with this older 2-turn dirt mail category, whatever that is, the older dirt mail thing. When you get like an express train as a double-digit horse, and I know he hasn't won in a while, but you look back, I mean, that horse has 3 triple-digit buyer figures at Santa Anita Park. That's a 10-to-1 horse. It's a Grade 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what do you do with that horse in this spot? I mean, honestly,
I know.
if you get past the top 2, it's pretty wide open.
I
And I don't think you can like a horse like Katona in this spot, because
agree.
usually when Katona does well, it's when everybody else is tiring. And I don't think that horse is good enough to win, maybe hit the board, but to be on the morning line below Express Train, I kind of hope that does happen, because I think Express Train has a better shot than what it appears.
Hmm. I if we're talking long shots, if we're gonna go there first, I'm totally
Mm.
happy to do that way, by the way. I think Tarantino on the outside is actually the more interesting horse. 2 wins, 4 seconds in 10 runs last year. The horse has hit the board in every run ever at Santa Anita. Gets Edwin Maldonado here for Peter Urton, and that isn't a great combination of the two of them. However, this horse has been aboard for the last 4, Edwin's been aboard, excuse me, the last 4 races. I want everyone to hear this. Open company, optional claimer, win. Second place in the Native Diver, second place in the Laffy Picai Jr., and third place in the San Pasquale. So this horse has been hitting the board amongst good company, including a bunch of horses that'll be in this field. So if we're going long shots to fill out an exacta trifecta kind of bet, man, Tarantino's the horse for me. 9 on the outside.
Yeah, I like that, because the horse is going to be forwardly placed, and
I agree with that.
typically that's where you need to be, and that's why a horse like Hit Show is always kind of iffy. He likes to close from way back, and it's not always the best thing. Same thing with Locked. He's going to have a hard time closing, especially with the way this race is probably going to be run. I don't think there's any runoffs here where they're going to get a supersonic pace to run into. So they're going to have to do a lot of running to win this race. I'm not sure they can do it,
You
which is why I landed on the 5
I was
Miramati.
going to say, you got Miramati here. He has
Yeah.
2 wins lifetime in 11 runs, but did win last out going the mile at Santa Anita. Obviously going to ask him for another 1/8 of a mile here in the quarter mile here in the Big Cap, going the classic distance here. Any concern about the distance for Miramati? That's why I left him out of my ticket, only because, Barry, this is Into Mischief, Malibu Moon. This is the breeding makes sense. I'm not questioning that at all. It's just, he tries the Native Diver and he's so tired by the end that he can't even get there. And so I wonder with him if the 7 furlong 1-turn mile thing isn't better for him.
I'll put a line through that Neighbor Diver.
Hey,
I'll give him a shot, because of the fact that, he was rank. He was, he just wasn't his normal self. And the 2 times before that, he settled and he ran excellent. I think he's going to get an easy trip like he did in both his Santa Anita runs. I mean, it's just, I can't see this playing out any other way, especially, with Bob Baffert at the driver's seat. It's go time. He just needs to get out in front far enough so Hit Show can't close into him, and I think that's going to happen.
is Locked fast enough to keep pace with Miramati and kind of put this race away early stretch? I think he is.
He can be. I don't think he really wants to.
Okay.
I think that horse likes to lag back. I mean, against better horses, he really hasn't shown much speed. And I think that that's going to spell a lot of trouble.
Okay. I have locked on top. I think a lot of that horse. He's another horse. When we mentioned that older dirt male category, I think a lot of as a 4-year-old, of course, ran in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile in a 2023. We missed out on a 3-year-old year with him, but he did win the Cigar Mile, of course, at the end of last year before running second in the Pegasus World Cup. Hit shows in here the 3 horse. We've seen Brad ship for this race before without a ton of success. Are you using Hit Show?
Yes, because he's going to become like a freight train. He's the classiest horse in here and probably the best long distance runner. So you have to use him.
How many wins combined at the distance do you think there are in this field, Barry?
3?
1, and it's express train. So how about that? All right. Late double, of course, is a $5 late double there at Santa Anita. And boy, is race 11 a great spot to land with the end of that late double. Wide open one to close it. 1 1/8 on the turf there. A spectacular pick 5 to close the card here. You get a nice 12 horse field here, as our friend Tony Kalo would say up at Turfway Park. Standing room only. And so this is an allowance optional claimer. We move on to the final of the day. This is for 4 and up, which have never won 21,000, state bred, blah, 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 all these things. A couple of horses in for the tag here. And I wanted to give a shout out to one horse in this race. This is a pure thing for everyone in California who misses Golden Gate Fields like I do. Freeport Joe is in for the tag in the 12 hole here. He's an 8-year-old gelding. And he didn't win last year. He ran 7 times. He did finish second twice, put up a 92 buyer last year. And Freeport Joe for many years, Barry, now that he's 8, was a must include in so many tickets that I played at Golden Gate Fields. I saw his name, and I'm not going to kid you. I immediately texted Dinnerman. I was like, bro, like, holy hell. I just saw the name Freeport Joe. He cracked up. So, but Asael Espinosa, who got the mount on him up north, keeps the mount with him down here. But Barry, where did you land in the closer at Santa Anita? I have 2 long shots on top in this one.
I went downfield too. I threw one downfield. I'm going to use the 3 Escape Artist.
Love it.
This horse was running pretty good to start his year in April. You know, came out of the gate running well and kind of built on that until that horse got claimed. Had a couple of bad trips. The one in January 4th wasn't a great trip, was way outside, and then got roughed up a little bit in the last one on February 2nd. But that October 12th race will win this one. And I think, you know, getting back to this spot, like the post position, will make all the difference towards the inside. And you can see that El Potente race, January 4th, was behind a lone speed, easy leader. And that horse went wide wire. So you can put a line straight through that one, then got roughed up. You know, if you look at that that replay on February 2nd, got roughed up a little bit and really kind of lost momentum and air. So the horse just didn't finish up the way he normally would. But you go back to that Del Mar race was very good. And then the Santa Anita October 12th race was very good. And I think that stacks up very well. Hopefully we get more than 10-1, but I'm okay with 10-1.
Yeah, Armando Ayuso at 10-1 would be worth it. In for the tag, there is Escape Artist, $50,000 in this one. I landed on Invigorated, the 1 horse on the inside. I'm drawing a line through the dirt performance last out. Horse hated it. Gelded since then. And this is a Son of Street Sense and you know, Avenue of Flags on the dam side. If we draw a line through that, the horse's last 2 runs at Del Mar, I think we're both totally acceptable for this level of company. And I'd get a good ride out of Umberto Rispoli. The other long shot I also went to was the 6 horse here. I think you get Phosphorescence coming off the layoff here from Mike McCarthy, who does that at 19%. You get Flavian Pratt. Is everyone ready for this? Because this stat is stupid. And I mean stupid. They have won 12 of their last 21 races together. 12 of their last 21. Let me say that one more time. 12 of their last 21.
Right, that's over 50%.
That's over. It's 52%. And by the way, ROI 440.
Oof,
I'm sorry. Maybe I don't understand horse betting,
How
but
did that
it's
happen?
okay to me. 45% overall, their last 33 races together.
Hmm.
This is a French bred by the St. Elias folks. The Warren Barn owns them now. Ownership group, excuse me, a son of City of Light, etc. If you're going to give me 8-1 on a horse that I saw win 2 races last year, has won at Santa Anita before, and I get Flavia Pratt aboard, give me the 1-6 here. I might just wrap it up with that, dude.
Yeah, I use the 6 for second as well.
Yeah,
It looks really tough in this spot as long as he can come back from the layoff okay.
yeah, that's right.
And Michael McCarthy does excellent with these types.
Yep.
So I'd have full confidence, but I don't think that 8-1 is feasible.
I went to the 9 after that. Takes 3 Hector Barrios for Mike Pipe, and the two of them hitting at 23%, smaller sample size for sure. But I think this one last time, if you draw the race if you draw a line, excuse me, through the stakes last time out, this horse won twice. Before that, finished second, third. So just in those 5 races, did not miss the board. I think really sets up well here for Hector Barrios to try some early pace with this one, get into a good spot, and see if he's got anything left at the end. But this one
Yeah, no,
is, if he gets into a stalking spot, I do think takes 3 the 9 here has a real shot.
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I threw one downfield for third too. I used the 8.
Okay.
Um, Training very, very well. I like those workman-like drills. And, this horse ran really good last year, just couldn't quite get over the hump.
Right.
Um, maybe that little time off made that much of a difference. I mean, that last bullet work seems to indicate this horse is in good form, ready to go. So why not 12-1 Jose Ortiz, last race of the day? I think he's going to show up.
There you go. I always look for Barry on days like this when a guy is clearly in to ride the stakes. When he
Mhm.
decides to hang around and ride in an
The
optional claim
last
or in
race.
a maiden special, they're not just there to get the $800 check or the $100 check or whatever it is. They're there to win the damn race, right? And I'm with you. I think Jose Ortiz on that one, replacing Giovanni Franco here. And like you said, the works have been very consistent the last 2 times out. This horse is obviously doing things that way. A son of
I'll
Malibu
say
Moon
this.
on that side.
I'll say this. Leave that horse off your pick 5 at your own peril.
Hmm, there you go. Uh, and good luck to everyone with the late pick 5. Again, go bet that over with our friends at Amwager, amwager.com. Check out their sign up match right now on your deposit, your first deposit with them up to $150. They want to match it 100%. You need an edge. You need Amwager. Go check out the site. It is a beautiful platform, people. It is really spectacular. I cannot suggest it enough. So go say hi to all of our friends over at Amwager and amwager.com. Well, happy Big Cap to you, Barry. I hope you have a great weekend, my friend. 2 other preps I wanted to ask you about very quickly around the country. Let's go to Long Island first and look at the Gotham. Is there, a couple of New York breds at the top of this? And I got to say, in an era where we're worried about contraction and the realignment of the sport and this stuff, it's fun to see these state bred programs stepping up. We got an Ohio bred and in Jonathan's way. We've got a couple, New York breds around here. Lonnie Bryles is running around in New Orleans picking
Right?
off races in Arkansas. I mean, doing the damn thing. I mean, it's been a fun season, and I feel like this Gotham is just another chapter in how fun this Derby preps season has been. And because look, if you get a Sacrosanct who's a son of honest mischief, how about that, an into mischief baby, and then you get a son of violence and Sand Devil. A reminder too, this is a 1 mile turn, right? And so this is where we're trying to figure out who's going to make the Derby, but certainly for wagering purposes, can I give a long shot here, Barry? How about that?
No, definitely
Okay.
not. Sand Devil to
Well,
me stands out quite a bit. They have their hands full with that horse. I mean, I think that horse might be the best horse on the East Coast right now. And he seems to be kind of getting a little bit better. He's figuring out. I mean, he can do everything. We just got to see him get out there and do it. And I think he's going to be as advertised in the Gotham.
My Matoli on the outside.
Mm,
Dad was a 1 mile specialist. Loved that one turn. Won the Met Mile. 15-1. I think you're going to actually get closer to 20-1 because I agree with Barry. The best horses are in that 3-4 gate range, whatever. So my Matoli, especially exacta trifecta kind of play, back-to-back wins, both of them at a mile, both of them at Aqueduct over this course. Not the fastest I've ever seen, but if this horse takes a step forward, this son of Mitoli, this is the kind of race that sets up really, really well for him in that spot. The Fountain of Youth, by the way, if you want to hear that, you can check out the first hour of Rabeau & Co. on ESPN 680 or the Kentucky Racing Spotlight. We talked with our guy, Brian Nadeau, set some morning lines down at Gulfstream Park. He has the finest fade and soul patch in horse racing. Interesting race in the Fountain of Youth. We see the return here of Sovereignty coming out of that Street Sense win up here at Churchill Downs. Burnham Square back after winning the Holy Bull. And the horse that caught everybody off guard on Holy Bull Day is River Thames. He comes back after the one-turn mile run that he had against winners for the first time, 2-for-2 lifetime. Those three kind of your lean on here. Does any of those stand out to you? I think, frankly, there's a chance Burnham Square is ready to go. He wins this one and they just go to the Derby. I think there's a chance.
Yeah. Well, I think River Thames might be the goods.
I agree.
This race is kind of, it seems a little bit straightforward for a Derby prep, kind of, meaning that the way that the past performance in the race shapes up, it looks like a normal race, not where everybody is bringing their best. It doesn't seem like everybody's going to be cranked up for this. Like how do you think, a horse like Burnham Square, who really could use some points but doesn't really need them,
right? Yeah, second place is totally here as far as points for him.
Right. I don't know how cranked up they're going to be for this particular race. So you have to keep that kind of stuff in mind. I mean, the horse is good on his own, and he might just pass horses and be in the mix just naturally. But that remains to be seen. Beyond that, Sovereignty is a big question mark on how that horse is going to come off the layoff.
Yep.
And River Thames looks like the only known quantity here. So you kind of have to figure that horse is going to have the advantage because of the speed, the way the track plays at Gulfstream, and so on.
My long shot play here would be Gate to Wire, the one horse with Dylan Davis. Just trying 2 turns for the first time. Top Pletcher goes sprinter out at 21%. I don't think this horse is in here by accident.
Right.
I'll put it that way. I don't think it's in here by accident.
It's definitely intentional.
Yeah. And I want to be very clear. I think a mile and a 16th might be the furthest this horse wants to go. I mean, this might be the absolute max out, but you know how you find out? You run your horse.
Bingo.
You run your horse. And so God bless you, Todd Pletcher, for trying this guy in this field. Just an FYI, I did talk with Brian today. Solid Left will not be running for Brian Lynch in this spot. So scratch the 5 by the time we get there tomorrow down at Gulfstream Park. Well, he's Barry Spears, of course. Our guy, the urban handicapper, the sniper. We call him Barry around here. We'll be back with another edition of SoCal Saturdays next week. Get you all caught up on that. And, of course, on the other shows that we are involved in, we'll have the Tampa Bay previews as well. Barry, you got to be excited. You're a Florida guy. I know you love the Tampa Bay Derby.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to be there. So, yeah. I mean, that's my thing.
Are they making you work, or do you just get to be Barry Spears?
No, I get to be the man around town on that day. So we're going to have some fun.
Well, good. All right. Well, he is Barry Spears. I'm Louie Rabeau. This has been another edition of SoCal Saturdays. We appreciate very much you deciding to start your weekend with us. We'll be back next week to talk about all of the racing going on in Southern California. I want to thank our friends again at AmWager. 100% deposit mode is up to 100%. They will want to match your deposit. And of course, our friends over at the Sporting Tribune, thesportingtribune.com. Go check out my article every week about Southern California racing. As well. He's Barry. I'm Louie. See you next week. SoCal Saturdays presented by AmWager.